Hey, Jonathan Olivares, Creative Director at Knoll. I've just told you who you are. I think you know that already. Thank you very much for inviting Architonic to be here at the Knoll stand at the Salone del Mobile. Just before we started we turned the cameras on. You told me this is the 24th time you've been here?
Yeah, my 24th Salone del Mobile.
Wow.
I've been coming to Salone del Mobile more than than I wasn't.
Right.
I was 19 the first time I came.
But what is its legacy today? How would you describe the brand today? Why is Knoll still relevant?
Knoll will always be relevant, and the reason is that it's the only brand in the industry that is based on a single idea. And that's the path to a great piece of furniture or architecture or interiors, is that there's one idea driving the whole thing. And the foundational idea for Knoll was something that Ilil Saarinen imparted on Florence Knoll when she was his mentee and student at Cranbrook. And he said, if you design a table, you must think about its relationship to the room. If you design a room, you must consider its relationship to the house. If you work on the house, the next relationship is the neighborhood, and then you relate the neighborhood to the city scale all the way up to urban planning. And what that created was contextual design or relational design. And that allowed Florence Knoll to invent the field of interior design. Before Florence Knoll, it was called interior decoration. Florence Knoll saw it as a modernist paradigm for planning. And so when she would do the interiors of SOM, the furniture was planned as a program, an idea, and a contribution in relationship to the space. So it was designed in context with an awareness of what was done around it. A lot of traditional furniture, industrial designers, manufacturers, and this isn't to say this is bad, but they make an object, right? They're very focused on
a piece of sculpture.
Yeah, a work of industrial innovation, and Knoll is not that. Knoll is about capturing the architectural zeitgeist. So Knoll, we don't look down, we look up, right? And from up, we then come back down to conceive of what we're doing. And so that makes my role pretty simple in a way to carry the brand forward, because if you look at the history, who were the protagonists of Knoll? Mies van der Rohe, Ara Saarinen, later Denise Scott Brown and Robert Venturi, Frank Gehry, OMA at one point. So it's my role to kind of go to the zeitgeist of architecture and channel the ideas from there into furniture that is then relevant to contemporary architecture.
I mean, for me, it seems the stakes quite high, because you have this brand which has is of such kind of cultural import, but you manage, Jonathan, to not let it be a burden. You know, in terms of these contemporary collaborations, I mean, are there set criteria that you would apply to your decision making when it comes to who you work with now
who I work with?
Yeah. So who you bring in as your design partners?
Yes. I would sort of go back to the first part of your statement. Knoll's foundation is solid bedrock. Mies, Florence Knoll, Ara Saarinen. It is the most ultimate foundation to build on. It's unbreakable, unshakable. And I see that as an opportunity, not a threat. And so when we work with classics, right, the older pieces, I don't look at them in a nostalgic way. I look at them in a structural way. And so it's my role to make them relevant and breathe life into them today. So we will take bold steps of applying colors and materials to things that haven't been done before, because you have to kind of break the codes to let the codes exist. Otherwise, they become, you stop noticing them, actually. And so that's a real part of what I do, is I think very carefully about which classics we will reintroduce. And if I reintroduce a classic, it has to be because it's the best at what it does in the landscape today. How do I then choose the designers we're working with today? It's a bit, maybe two-part. One is I have, 15 years ago, one of my mentors, who was the second design director of Knoll after Florence Knoll, his name was Jeffrey Osborne, He passed away in 2017. He would call my office every Friday on the landline. The only person that called the landline. And we would chat for a couple of hours. And when I would be in New York, he would always take me to the Gramercy Tavern. He had the corner table, 2 Negronis at lunch. Epic guy. When I was young, this is almost 20 years ago, he said, you must connect yourself to architects. If you understand architecture and you spend time with architects, your furniture will serve concrete needs, not be this exercise in something else, which again, masterpieces are made that way too. But for me, the passion, my enthusiasm for design was 2 parts. Like I would read about architecture and buy architecture books and furniture and always understood them in relationship. So for years, my friends are architects, and many of the people I'm working with, all of the people I'm working with at Knoll are people I've known for 10, 15 years because we understand each other and it's a community.
Right.
Parallel would be like, again, not in a nostalgic way at all, just in a structural way, what the Cranbrook squad did, right? Like Bertoya, Florence Knoll, Don Albinson, obviously Eero Saarinen, Richard Schultz. Like there was a community of people who were like-minded, and I have that fabric here. Like we work with Pernilla Orsted, who I've been working with for 10 years on our showroom architecture. She collaborates with Salone van der Swa on interiors and colors and materials and finishes. I've known them for 10, 15 years. Kirsten Geers and David Van Severen, who did our pavilion here. We call it the Casa Knoll. It's not a trade fair stand. It's a concept house, like a case study. I've known them since 2014, and we're like very close friends. Dozie Kanu, who did this collection, sculptor, I interviewed him for Pinup magazine in 2018 after his first piece was done for Salon 94, because I thought, this guy, I see super clarity and talent and intellect and rigor here. I need to meet him. So in some ways, like Knoll, I always kind of joke, like Knoll didn't actually hire me, they just hired my community, and I'm just the conduit,
You mentioned kind of context and that kind of dialogical relationship between products and space. Tell us a bit more about the stand concept here.
So I joined Knoll as creative director in 2022. I had collaborated with Knoll since 2007. We made books. I did internal reports. We made furniture. I bleed Knoll red. Like I grew up with that. My college professors, Bruce Hanna was my thesis advisor. We relaunched his chair. So when I started Knoll as creative director, at that point I had not been to the fair in like 10 years.
Nice.
I wasn't launching products with companies here. I was here to meet friends. I would do exhibitions, cultural things. And I honestly, at that age, I really didn't like the fair. I found it like a shopping mall. Like I don't like art fairs because it's basically a shopping mall of stuff, right? And but the artist Thomas Deman, I toured it once with him, and he changed my point of view maybe like 5 years ago. We went up to the top, which I'd never been up to those service access points, and we looked at it from above, and that's when it clicked. And he was like, "It's a city." And it's a temporary city. Like Thomas' artwork, he builds sets out of paper and then they go away, right? And there's something inherently experimental and beautiful about that. And now, like, I'm a full fair convertee. Like, I love the fair. I don't want it to die because we get to test things here every year. And the industry is here, and the energy, and the sales, and the new products, and it's a fantastic experience. So when I commissioned this stand from Kirsten and David, it was like a 2 or 3 part brief. I said, whatever it is, has to be architecture grade quality. If you lifted it up and put it in Palm Springs, it has to be the kind of thing that you can run HVAC and electricity and plumbing through under the floor. And all you have to do is put a roof on it. And that's what this is. We worked with Finstral, which is like an architectural manufacturing company. They do glass and profiles. And this is, outside of a little bit of insulation, a roof and plumbing, this is a real house. And the second part of the brief was, I hate booths. Like, booths to me are just inhumane.
With that sense of enclosure.
You can't chill. You can't chill. Like, here we are chilling. It feels like we're at a cocktail party.
Yeah, sure.
And so I said, make me a house where I don't really see the fair around me.
Sure.
The sky is dark, right?
But where you have a high level of transparency as well. I mean, there's this kind of sense
throughout the space.
Yeah.
It's like a big open plan.
Yeah.
And so that was the second thing, was like, I want to be able to chill and host. I have to be there for 5 days, make me feel like I'm at my house in Palm Springs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can tell the people here are really engaging with it, really enjoying it. It's absolutely packed
It's a vibe.
here. Yeah.
It's a vibe.
Jonathan, one last question for you, which is, I mean, we've talked about the kind of the design, the architectural, the cultural merits of Knoll, but how do you balance culture with commerce?
For me, design is it has to be logic and creativity. One without the other makes no sense. It's no longer design, right? First, strategy. If there's no strategy, there's no design. Antonio Citterio told me that. It blew my mind. No strategy, no design. And truly, that goes to the bone for me. So when we start new projects, before I've started a project, I spend a lot of time with the architects and designers who specify Knoll's furniture. I visit their projects. I spend a lot of time with our dealers. I spend a lot of time with our salespeople. I like to have my finger on the pulse.
Right.
I learn a lot. It's like, it's overwhelming. Like, every year I'll go and do a month in the market and come back with my notes, and it's like, 10,000 page Word doc, right? But then I filter and I start to hear the same things in different places. The evolution of culture, right? And so I use that as a kind of finger on the pulse. And then comes the task of saying, like, okay, now I know what I need. Who in my community is the right person to do that? And then we choose and we start.
Right.
And we've been very successful the last 3 years. Like, sales are increasing. Something I'm very proud of is that the classics used to far outsell the contemporary pieces here at Salone del Mobile. And last year we flipped it for the first time ever.
Oh, that's incredible.
In Knoll's, history on memory at the fair.
That's incredible.
And that was really exciting because, when you're a business built on classics, you can have some organic growth. But classics, the market is in a way saturated in North America and Europe at least. And it's a big expense.
And then there's a secondary market as well.
Exactly,
which we sometimes don't like to talk about.
I love vintage furniture.
Right.
Sometimes more than real furniture, but or new furniture. But yes, and obviously the classics are that bedrock foundation, and they're incredible, and they put pressure on me to deliver at that level, right? Because Florence Knoll was an exceptional thinker, rigorous. So I have to put myself. That's my competitor.
Do you think Florence Knoll liked to chill? I mean, didn't she famously say that she wanted everything at right angles?
Oh no, she also said
she rather liked a kind of grid organization.
Yeah, but she also liked softness, and like her brief to Ara Saarinen for the womb was, give me a basket of pillows. She would say, if you make the table lower, she would call that continental height. Make the table lower to 68 centimeters instead of 73. Make it lower, and then the room will feel bigger, and being closer to the ground is more relaxing. So
beautiful.
It's that, and I think that's Knoll. It's a combination of like laissez-faire and rigor, and that's the special tension.
And that would be a good way to describe you, I think, Jonathan.
Thank you.
The rigor and laissez-faire.
I'll take it.
I think you've done a brilliant job here. You talk about chilling. I would like to stay for the rest of the day.
That was the goal.
Good. Well, you might have to tell my boss or
you can go get a coffee. Go get a coffee in the cafe.
Jonathan, thanks so much. You've been a fantastic interview partner, and of course, Knoll is, as it always was, a superb brand, doing very exciting things and not just resting on its historical laurels.
So much.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Okay. My pleasure. Thank you.